not so chefy chef with the Pampered Chef, and my little booger Nora. Hi. Well, you guys, I went ahead and tried out our quick prep food grater and our stainless steel wok. Oh my goodness. But anywho, I went ahead and recorded my first time ever using these tools and making this recipe. This recipe that I use is a General Tso chicken, except it's not General Tso chicken because there's no General Tso sauce. Because my family doesn't do this sriracha spicy stuff. So instead, I stopped it with Pampered Chef's very own honey teriyaki sauce. Oh my goodness. And my family too. Yeah. So I used that sauce instead. And I forgot to get snap peas. So I used broccoli. Now, you guys, I'm not the super greatest cook. Heads up. And I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done stir fry before. My experiences with using a wok, I'm completely clueless. I didn't know what to expect, though I did learn a couple things from this, and there are some things that I would do differently, which I'll cover at the end of the video. But stay tuned and watch to go ahead and see my experience using these tools. What? We left it there. You guys, see, having kids. I make a video about food and kitchen tools, and she decides to tell you about Joey's toothbrush. Smile. Alright, watch the video. Let me know how you feel about it. Watch it to the end. I'll go ahead and give you what I learned, what I might do differently at the end. Let me know what you would do differently and what you think about these tools, and if you would try a recipe like this for your family.
So first up, we're going to use the slicing blade. Now this is really handy. I use it for the cabbage, I use it for onions, and I use it for zucchini. Really incredible. To get it on, you just line it up and rotate the handle in the direction that you'll be grating. That'll get it right in. First veggie we're going to work on is going to be zucchini. Oh my goodness, this was incredible. We're going to be slicing this, and look at how fast this is. Regular time that I went ahead and recorded this in, and look at that. Just one, look at that. That's just amazing. I was definitely impressed by how easy that was. That was probably the easiest out of all of them. You could definitely tell I was super impressed here. It was just like, wow. I mean, look at this. So the slices are all nice and even. It's just perfection. And it was easy and fast. Now imagine using any other tool. It probably wouldn't be as fast for you. Unless you just have super fast hands, and I didn't have to slice my fingers or anything. I mean, that's just incredible. Super, super, super impressive. You can't go wrong with that at all. Wow. Next up is an onion. They recommend a small onion. Now, I still kind of have to figure out which direction I want to do, and I should have put the onion the other way around, but it's still sliced nicely. Again, very quick. Look at that. Whoop. Now this onion I did much better. I flipped it the other way around, having the flat side against the angle inside the hopper there. Look at that. Nice, quickly sliced, perfect for the meal we're having. Definitely impressive. Now I'm actually prepping all the ingredients before I start working on the meal. That's just a good thing to do, to have everything ready. That way when you're following the recipe, you can just drop everything in and not have to worry about prep right away. Now that I'm going into the cabbage, I probably should have just taken the insert out and put it in that way. My first time around using the cabbage, I wasn't sure which direction I needed to put it in, but the second time around I definitely did much better. So we're supposed to use a quarter head of cabbage roughly, and I cut that quarter in half so I can go ahead and get it inside the insert, but I could have probably done without the insert and pushed it in that way, and it would have probably been a lot easier. Hindsight 2020. A lot of focus there. There we go, and you can see this is going through a lot easier now that I have the flat side against the edge there. Look at that, beautiful. Right, Cat? cabbage just has such a beautiful color. It's funny that it's called red, but it looks purple. And if you leave it sitting in water, it'll give you blue water. Look at that. Wow, I just love how easy that was. Yeah, cutting up cabbage with a knife, I'm just not, it's not one of my favorite things, so I love being able to use a shredder. This is exactly what I used to do when I was at Chick-fil-A, when you have that little bit of shredded cabbage and carrots on top of your side salads and stuff. We had a Hobart mixer and it had an attachment that we used, very similar to that, to go ahead and shred the cabbage. Now to take the blade off, you're gonna hold onto your blade piece with a towel and then just rotate it the opposite direction of what you would to go ahead and grate. Now I'm gonna use a coarse blade, sorry. And we're gonna use this for carrots now. Now looking back, it's been so long since I did carrots. If I would have broken the carrots in half and just like loaded the hopper, it would have, sorry about the sound, Jovi's moving chairs, but it would have gone a lot smoother and easier to push down. So next time I do carrots, I'll probably cut that in half so it's easier to apply the pressure needed. And I did try the fine, the fine grater blade, and that worked really well for the carrots too, but the recipe called for the coarse grater, so I used that. Now, very much like the grater I used to use when I was a prep person, little chunks of carrots were left in the hopper just because of the shape of the carrots. So I just put those back in and finished it off. There you go, that's not so bad, see? Look at that. Those shreds. Now see, this is great like if you like to make salad and stuff instead of buying pre-shredded carrots. It's a lot cheaper to just get the whole carrots and you can just go ahead and shred a bulk amount in here. I mean, this is awesome. As a matter of fact, I probably should shred some more carrots and go ahead and take care of that later. Alright, so now I recommend using the quick slice to go ahead and slice the peppers. So you quarter it first. And then you just roll them in, and when you bring the top piece down, you need to rock it a little bit because those blades, they're slightly serrated, so it lightly saws through when you're pushing down. Now this is ideal for foods that aren't too hard. You could do like maybe half an apple, probably about the hardest thing. It's good for tomatoes, it's good for eggs, it's good for peppers, of course. You could do butter, like if you want to go ahead and slice it real quick. You could do pound cake. I would not use it for potatoes. Potatoes are really hard, so I don't recommend this for potatoes. You probably go ahead and ruin that if you try that. Red peppers are so pretty. Look at that. Okay, now this onion here is not for the recipe, it's for the rice that I'm making. Growing up, I always had rice with onions. So instead of doing the rice in the microwave with the rice cooker, I'm gonna do it in the quick cooker. And first we saute the onions, and then we toast the rice. And I just find that it tastes a whole lot better. It's what I'm accustomed to, it's what we prefer. It's not plain Jane white rice, so it tastes good on its own. So I'm using the manual food processor, and it's what I love to use to chop onions. Just nice quick pumping, and the more you pump, the finer the finer the bits of the onion. Pampered powder. There you go. See, nice, easy chopped. Okay, now in the quick cooker, I'm gonna set it to sear. And that's what you're gonna go ahead and use. Just go ahead and heat up your oil and saute. You know, other pressure cookers have a saute feature. Here, it's sear. Yeah. Now, this oil that I'm using, I get whole chicken every now and then, and the fat that I trim, I actually fry it up a little bit, you know, nice and low, kind of like same way you would render fat from bacon for bacon grease, except this is coming from chicken and it has paprika and other seasonings added to it. Now, after about 3 minutes, you go ahead and add your onions. You see how hot that is already. Now, once the onions begin to get just a little translucent and just lightly cooked, you don't want it to be overdone. After it gets a little translucent, you're gonna go ahead and throw in the rice. Doesn't really take long. Here I'm going to be adding 1 cup of rice. You can double the amount when you're cooking in the quick cooker or any pressure cooker. You want a 1-to-1 liquid to rice ratio. That seems to work out great. Now this rice I'm using is basmati. Normally we use long grain, but I have fallen in love with the texture of basmati rice, so that's actually what I get to use for us because it always just comes out lovely. Now what we're doing, we just lightly toast the rice. That's pretty much how I grew up making rice. And then you go ahead and add the other ingredients. Here I'm going to put in 1 cup of bone broth that I made. I think it adds a lot more flavor to your rice. And I'm adding about a teaspoon of salt. And that's all you really need. Now let's just make sure we have our seal on there. You're gonna twist on the top and you wanna make sure the steam release valve is flush, because if it's not flush, you're gonna end up releasing steam and it's not gonna build the pressure you need for it to cook. I'm gonna go ahead and set it to the white rice setting, which is about 4 minutes. But once it's done, you do wanna let it naturally release pressure for about another 10 minutes, because even though it'll be off then, it's still cooking some. Now for the chicken, I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I probably should have used a little less, and the recipe did call for bite-sized bits. So instead of doing the general soy sauce, I just went ahead and did some teriyaki sauce with some Worcestershire sauce. I think I said it right, Worcestershire. Anywho, you're just gonna use a tablespoon of the mixed sauce and mix that in with about a 1/4 cup of cornstarch and your chopped up chicken. Pardon me. And you're just gonna stir that up. Now right now the wok is preheating with about a tablespoon of canola oil. I think sesame oil would work really nicely with this dish too. And off the pan we have the chicken. Now we're supposed to, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys, I've never ever made stir fry before. So this is a brand new experience for me. And I probably should have let the chicken fully thaw, for one. And 2, I should have probably let the chicken brown a little longer. It was cooked, I just didn't let it brown. And I think part of the reason it didn't brown the way I wanted it to was because it wasn't fully thawed, so it didn't have that temperature that I needed to reach that sear that I wanted. Well, that, and when you're using chicken that's not fully thawed, it's got extra moisture in it. If you notice, as you thaw the chicken, there's all this extra moisture that comes out, and I still had that in there. But anywho, after we take the chicken out, go ahead and put the last 2 tablespoons of oil. Throw your onions in, your carrots, your red peppers. And we're gonna let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, give or take. Now we're going to add our broccoli and our zucchini and let that fry up. Okay. Now we're going to add the chicken, the red cabbage, and the remaining sauce. And you're just going to fry that up. And that's it. It was actually a really easy meal, and this was my very first stir fry. I'm definitely going to try this again because it was absolutely delicious. Now to the rice, this is what the rice ended up looking like. It doesn't take long, and I actually let it sit there longer than I needed, and it still came out beautiful, beautiful. And ta-da, my first ever stir fry. You guys should give it a shot.
Welcome back, y'all. So what did you think? Alright, so a few notes on my experience. 1, make sure your chicken is fully thawed. 2, the recipe calls for bite-sized bits of chicken. I have a big mouth, so maybe next time I should actually slice the bits of chicken a little thinner. I think that would have worked out a lot better to get some browning going, and actually spread the cornstarch out more evenly on the chicken, or maybe even use a little less of the cornstarch. That I think definitely affected the appearance towards the end, even though it was still delicious. Let's see, for the food grater. Okay, guys, for 1, you already saw for the slicing. Definitely surprised, super impressed. That worked super fast. Oh my goodness, okay, that definitely impressed. For the coarse grater blade, I'm going to try on some other things. I wasn't too impressed with using the carrots with that, though I did try the fine grater blade, and that worked much better for the carrots. Something else I might do, instead of just doing like 2 little carrots at a time, kind of break them in half. That way it fills in the hopper a lot better, and that should work tons better with shredding the carrots. So that might be something else to go ahead and attempt. 3, with the cabbage, definitely go ahead and hold it with a flat side over just so it fits, and it worked out much better, much faster that way. I probably didn't even have to cut it down to the size I had to support of a head, and if I would have taken that insert out, I think it would have fit beautifully. Pardon. Okay, so there's that. Let's see, for the wok. Another thing that I tried second time around when I played around with it that I preferred is actually spraying your oil in. I think it got the oil heating much better, in my opinion. Probably not necessary, but just for me, just the idea of having globs of oil in a certain spot, it just bugged me, and I didn't like it. But otherwise, the recipe came out delicious. Now you guys saw how I made the rice. Lots of folks don't toast their rice ahead of time. Growing up, I was taught to go ahead and have the ingredients that frying, like the onions or your sofrito, which is pretty much an herb base that we make, using cilantro, peppers, onions, garlic, and some recao, which is, I believe that's coriander leaves, but those are hard to find, especially around here, so I didn't use those. And there's also ají dulce, which are kind of a small sweet pepper that just has a tiny little kick to it. Those are hard to find here too, so I kind of skip those when I make my own sofrito. But I didn't use sofrito in this video, so I'm just blabbing, blah, blah, blah. But anywho, that's how I make my rice, and it's actually easier for me to make it in the quick cooker. I mean, that's been the one spot that I make it that it comes out perfect for me every single time. Now, growing up cooking rice, you think I know how to make it right. Right? Stove, I screw it up. Microwave, I screw it up. Quick cooker, perfect every time. So I just chose to make the rice in there just because I know it'll come out good. So tell me, you guys, what do you think about the recipe and your experiences with stir fry? What are some pointers you can give me to make this better next time around? And what about the products? What's your opinion on the quick prep food grater? What would you use it for? And the same for the wok. Let me know. Comment below. Let's hear all about it. If you haven't liked my page yet, like it. If you aren't in the VIP group, join it. Be a part of this family, part of this community. Comment, post, let's have fun, and welcome to the table. Remember, guys,